Good afternoon, Valor. Feels good to be back here. I'm going to tell you a little story of my life that I've never told anyone during my time here in Valor. Some of you guys might remember how I was when I first came to Valor, but for those of you who don't, I was a very different person. I had the little purple square glasses, shorter and a bit wider, and often had Crocs on my feet. But above all these, I was lost. You see, all my life, I revolved around one thing. I wanted a successful career as a diplomat. I was on one of the best tracks I could ever dream of. Top of the school, shouting at the embassy at the age of 13, first place in most foreign language high schools, speech and debate contest in 7th grade. Recruited as a gifted kid, I was one of the kids in my town. I slept no more than 4 hours per day for several years, and just as I was about to enter the high school for the talent that I have been longing for, my mother calls me and says, "I don't want you to proceed with your app." The next thing I know, she rescinds my app. The next week, I found out that my grandfather, who has been taking care of me dearly, is diagnosed with lung cancer for the 3rd time. A couple months later, when I entered a new international school, the head of high school decided to run away with a sponsoring organization's founding money. Ever since, I was continually asked for more money from the dean of high school, and if he ever found out that his request was known to the parents, I was threatened and occasionally beat up. My life that I longed for seemed to be out of sight, and the life that I had seemed to be was torn apart. I still remember that night where I could no longer cry, and all I could do was to stare off into the white, shaggy wall until I fell asleep. I had thoughts that no teenager should ever have to think about. And one day, I almost made a decision that would not have put me here standing before you. Soon after, as I returned from the dormitory, my parents found out that I was severely depressed and sent me off to New Zealand. While I refused, I was rather forced onto the plane. The tourist distractions approached me appallingly, and my eyes were fixed on the phone, waiting for the day to be over. However, one thing always caught my eyes as I returned back to the hotel that we were staying at. In front of it was a vineyard that expanded to the horizon. It had this peaceful hue enumerating. One afternoon, I decided to take a walk into the vineyard. Everywhere I turned, there was an endless stream of grapes. It was probably the longest walk I took in my life. Just as I was thinking about all the events that passed through me these couple of years, suddenly a rough hand grabs me and turns me around. I look up and I see a worker on the vineyard with dirt on his hand. This man then says the next 3 words that turned my life upside down. He asked, "Are you lost?" It was a simple question, but I started crying. He held my hand, and after some silence, he told me the story. He asked, "Do you know that the first year this vineyard was made, the whole vineyard was destroyed by the wind from the sea? We know each sector with our hearts, and we take care of each and every grapevine here." He then goes on to tell me about the interesting ways they water the wines. Most vineyards just spray water from above with a sprinkler because it's easier. However, this vineyard draws a circle with water around the vine's root, and each month they expand the radius of the circle made of water. It guides the vines to plant their roots deeper into the soil and to withstand the wind from the sea. He then told me, "It's how the man up there looks after you too. You might spread your roots with all your might and still miss the ring of water. You might feel like giving up, but he sees you and he knows you ever since you were a seed because he planted you. So when you feel like you can't and that all hope is lost, rejoice because he believes your root can dig deeper than the difficulties standing in front of you." That moment gave me strength to stand back on my feet. The next couple of years, I found myself through a field that was quite foreign to me. Most of you might know, but I am going to a dental school. Ooh. After New Zealand, I joined a dental relief organization called ADRA, and I started assisting the head dentist in the Philippines, Kenya, and Taiwan. There I witnessed acclaimed doctors struggling not only with the teeth, but also the psychological burden of poverty. And for the last 3 years, I have founded an organization that aids underserved communities in those countries and have been interning at the following dentistry. But the most important thing is, I have found myself within the belief of people. My belief lies in the goodness and the resilience of people. What I want to tell you today is that to be a true citizen of something, for me, doesn't mean to be defined within the same territorial boundaries. To be a true citizen means to share the heart and the core values of an organization, to live each moment with the values operating our decisions. To make this choice for ourselves, we must first discover who we are, to find the values I stand by, and would like to be the stem of my actions. My whole life, I did not know who I was, and I wanted to brand myself with the things I desired, draped with beliefs of others, following others' shadows. But it is not the details and the positions that define a good global citizen. It is the heart that has a firm belief and is willing to reach out to others. And even if it's the most random moments, just like the vineyard worker who reaches out to a strange trespasser to share their small stories that hold his belief, shed light on the world without boundaries. That's my definition of a global citizen. And when life beats you to the ground, rejoice, because there are always people out there who see you and understand the struggle that you're going through. And most importantly, because you're found. Thank you.